This is the Stubborn German Podcast. I'm Kevin Oste, coming to you from the beautiful Stubborn German Brewing Company here in delightful Waterloo, Illinois, which is not very far from the St. Louis Metro if you're in that area. And, of course, we're joined, as always, by the proprietor of the Stubborn German Brewing Company, Mr. Chris Ron.
Hola.
Hola. He whips out the Spanish this time.
See.
See? Very nice. And we have a couple of esteemed guests. Chris's brother, Corey Ron. Corey.
Hey there.
Welcome
Glad to be on.
And Corey's wife, Alyssa.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah.
Anything for you.
Really?
That sounds like there was some kind of threat or something. So to this particular episode is kind of interesting. We are recording this on a very busy evening here at the Stubborn, and there's actual brewing going on behind us.
Actual brewing, yeah.
People are
we
actually
do that here sometimes. I know, isn't
well,
that weird?
but normally when we do the podcast, it's a little bit less action here in the brewery section. But this time the real deal is happening.
The real deal, that's right.
And for those who have listened to this show before, you know we start every episode with the German Word of the Day contest that nobody has ever won.
That's correct, Kevin. We certainly do, and no one has.
I'm going to try and keep my streak alive.
We'll see. New year, new Kevin.
Yeah, right.
Okay, the German word of the day today is Gelbstein.
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 Well, I'm a very
Short and sweet.
courteous person, so I'm going to let our guest go first. And you're a female, so you get to go even firster.
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Even firster.
I'm going to go with goldfish.
Goldfish.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Excellent guess.
Yeah.
Goldfish, okay.
Feels right.
Wow, that does. Darn it, I was going to say that.
Gelbstein, goldfish.
Corey, what do you got?
It just reminds me of Rammstein because it has Stein in it, but I don't really know what Stein means.
Aha. It's something you put beer in.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So I'm going to go with... I'm just going to say beer glass.
Beer glass.
I don't feel good about it, but...
Really? That's weird.
I feel good about it.
Okay. Beer glass.
I feel good about beer glasses, too.
Noted. Yeah, I do too.
Once again, Gelb or De Stein?
I don't know. Hold on.
Does Chris know the German word of the day?
Let me check Google. Gelb with a B as in boy. Gelbstein.
All right. Well,
Gelbstein.
Stein, I know certain things as being a town or a city.
Okay.
Like Waterloo Stein would be.
Well, that's the first one that comes to my head.
How about that? And Gelb is a kind of fish, I'm going to say. So
Yeah.
it's a fish town.
Fish town.
That's quite logical.
You like that?
Yeah, there's a theme that I did not pick up on.
The fish?
Fish theme.
Yeah.
Fish town. Okay. Boy, those were some excellent guesses, guys.
Yes.
I really thought you were going to get it, too.
We gotta flip.
One of you might have, though, so we'll find
flip
out.
the tables, and you need to participate in this one of these days.
Bring
Share in the
Bring
humiliation.
it. Well, then nothing says that I am exempt, so.
Right. So, getting through all that, the answer will be at the end of the show. I know
Yes, it
everybody's
will.
super excited about that. But right now, we're gonna chat with Chris, your family members you brought on the show. That's kind of a first for this. You've had your wife on. I've had my wife on, but
Right.
you really haven't had.
I don't think we've had any other family members, have we?
What an honor.
Whole new
Wow.
dimension.
Good for you guys.
Yeah.
You're the lucky ones.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, Corey, how long have you known Chris?
Well, almost my whole life.
Almost. That's
There was
outstanding.
that weird period when I was in high school. No one really knew me.
Yep. Went AWOL for a little while.
Yeah.
But,
Well, the early
I don't even know
years
myself.
with no consciousness, you got to get that
right,
too.
right.
Does that really count? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time to talk about that, though. So
Chris is obviously your older brother.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes. Yep.
So, Chris, what was your motivation outside of just some time to hang out with Corey and Alyssa
To have them on the show? Yeah. When did we go? We went down to Kentucky together. Corey and Alyssa are in the Brown Water Society. And I would say maybe 3-4 times a year, we go down to Kentucky. We'll do a barrel pick. So a barrel pick is basically the distillery gives you an option between about anywhere from 3 to even up to like 6 barrels of bourbon or whatever whiskey you're buying. and you taste through them, and then you pick your favorite. Kind of vote as a group. So usually these groups are anywhere from, say, 4 at the very lowest up to maybe 6 or 8 people. And then you kind of, everybody tastes through and you vote and you pick your favorite one. So Corey and Alyssa were on our Yellowstone Barrel Pick that we went down to Lebanon, Kentucky for. And that was at the Limestone Branch Distillery. And, yeah.
So, Alyssa, what'd you think of the tour?
It was fun. I appreciated the dog.
I've heard about this dog.
Louie?
Louis Tulip?
Yeah, Louis
I
Tulip.
think I spent more time with the dog.
Yes, you definitely did.
Right on.
It was great. No, it was really fun, and he's quite a character. So it was an interesting experience, to say the least.
Yes. And what did you think?
No, it was awesome. It was, it was definitely a smaller place than some of the other ones that we had been to, which made it a little more personal, right? A little more. You could walk through all the tanks and see everything. So it was definitely a very cool tour.
Yeah, there's really nothing that they don't show you. I mean, you're
Right.
walking through every corner of that building. The building isn't very big, and it's the whole distillery right there. I mean, it's not 15 buildings like Maker's Mark. It's one building, and you do the whole thing. You know exactly what's in every little nook and cranny of that building, which is kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. And so you mentioned it's a barrel pick. How did it tie back to this establishment?
Good question. So we got the the results of our barrel pick, the bottles. So when you pick the barrel, what happens is they mark it as yours, and then a period of anywhere from 3 to 6 months go by where it takes them to actually bottle. So they don't just send you a barrel of whiskey.
Here, dump this out.
Yeah,
In the van.
Some people ask you that, like, they really give you that? No.
Yeah, right.
Wooden barrel in the back of the minivan.
Here it is. How are you going to unload this? So you do get the barrel, but it's empty, obviously, and then you get the cases of whiskey that came out of it. So ours was bottled at 115 proof, and we can get into that later, how they do the proofs. But basically, 115 proof. I think we were probably, I would say barrel proof on that was probably somewhere around 125 or 120. So they proofed it down just a little bit, and then they bottled it. So yeah, we got those bottles. They came here. They literally said Stubborn German on the, or did they say Brown Water? They said Stubborn German on them, didn't they? On this one? I think.
Sure.
We don't have ours yet.
Oh, it's right there in that box.
There you go. Bam.
Don't leave without it. But yeah, so it's our barrel pick. There's no other barrels out there that's going to taste exactly the same, because the barrel itself has so much influence on the flavor of whiskey. That's literally what you're tasting through. It's the same batch as far as like the mash and everything, and the distillate that comes off the still. That's all exactly the same, and it will go into a different barrel, obviously. So you're buying the one barrel that has the wood and the flavor profile that you liked. So that's really the difference. So our barrel pick came in, and unfortunately it went out all on the same day.
Yeah.
We had Stephen Fante here and had an event, and basically Stephen brought Louie up, and Louie sells more whiskey than Stephen, actually, the dog.
Understandably so.
Yeah. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, so Stephen Fante, what's his title? Who is he?
He is the brand ambassador for Yellowstone. So he's basically the guy that he'll travel wherever he needs to preach the gospel of Yellowstone and Minor Case Rye and Bowling and Birch Gin. So that's their 3 main products at Limestone Branch.
What would be really cool is if we could chat with him and learn the story directly.
Dude, I would love to be able to just talk to him for maybe 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
Ask
cool?
him any question that I felt like. That'd be so awesome.
Yeah, well, through the magic of Jared, our producer, I think we can make that happen.
Oh my gosh. So we are joined by Stephen Fante from Limestone Branch Distillery. He is the brand ambassador there, and he came to Waterloo. Stephen, why the heck are you in Waterloo?
Well, I was asked to be. I got lost on the interstate, and I found myself in Waterloo. But, boy, is it beautiful here. I highly suggest it for anybody that's coming down this way to Illinois to come through Waterloo.
Good answer, but that's not why he's here. So we do barrel picks, obviously, and so Steven is the head of the barrel pick department at Limestone Branch. So their barrel pick option is Yellowstone, and it's the hand selected. So basically, Steven, you should talk about it. What are the different proofs that we get to taste it at? The 3 different barrel options. Kind of go through that a little bit, if you would.
Well, it's a unique and different offering from any other distillery pick that I've ever gone to. And I've done a lot of distillery picks from different distilleries across the United States. Our distillery pick is designed so that the customer gets to influence the pick as much as the master distiller or myself, the barrel house manager. When you come to Limestone Branch Distillery, you're going to taste the barrels at different proofs. And what that will do is haunt you for the rest of your life. For every other distillery pick that you could possibly ever do that hands you a cast strength pull from a barrel that says, hey, put 2 drops of water in it, you're going to question yourself as to whether that proof is truly the proof that it's going to end up in your store at, and whether that proof is truly the proof that particular barrel will show up the best at. When you taste through my barrels, you're going to taste at 102, 109, and 115. And in doing so, you're going to see just how much proof influences the characteristics of that barrel. And when you choose the proof that barrel tastes best at, you have influenced that characteristic of that barrel as much as Stephen Beam or Stephen Fante.
Nice. So one of the other cool things about Limestone Branch, in my opinion, is it's basically the contrast between a really huge distillery in size I'm talking about, and then a smaller distillery in size. So they just happen to be next to Maker's Mark, which I would call a pretty huge distillery. So when you go down to Kentucky and you're visiting, I mean, you can go to Maker's Mark, do the tour, and you check out how big everything is, and you see all the rick houses whenever you come into town. And then my favorite thing to do is go straight to Limestone Branch, and you open the door, and as soon as you open the door, you got Louie licking your knees, and you got the staff right there. The cat. You've got a bartender right there saying, "What can I get you?" Limestone Branch is all about hosting, and that's kind of the Kentucky way. Talk about that.
Hospitality is the key to the distillery. When we started, Mr. Beam said, "Hey, I want you to back in house for a while." And I spent some time in the front of the house at the distillery. I said to him, what I want for this distillery is to be the most hospitable distillery of any distillery ever incepted. When you walk in the door at Limestone Branch Distillery, you're going to be greeted at the door, "Welcome to Limestone Branch." And at that point, you're going to be offered a cocktail and or checked in, whichever comes first. Once you're checked in, you're going to be offered a cocktail. A lot of our tours are done with cocktail pretty much in hand. So we want you to come down and feel like you're at home. We want you to come down to the distillery, spend some time with us. We don't want you to feel like you're rushed. We want you to come in and see the history of 7-generation Beams on the wall. Find out the history that the Dant family has influenced the Beam family. And then see some of the most beautiful stills you've ever seen in your entire life. One of them created by Vendome Copper and Brass. It's a 1,000-gallon pot. It's the prettiest still they've ever created, and they make nothing but Rolls-Royce stills. Every one of the stills that Vendome has ever created costs more than a Rolls-Royce. This one is extraordinary. So come to Limestone. We're open 7 days a week. We do tours and tastings on the hour. We want you to come down, smoke a cigar on the porch, have a bourbon pour, and slow down. It's the bourbon industry. It's not a race. Come down and enjoy yourself.
That's great. Yes, that's and not to say that Maker's Mark doesn't want you to sit and hang out, but Limestone Branch seems to really understand what that's all about, and that's really why it's one of my very favorite places to go. We take these trips down there with friends and family and people from our bourbon club all the time, and we don't miss going to Limestone Branch. We make sure that that's on the schedule every time. It's about, an hour south of Louisville, probably?
1 hour and 20 minutes. I do it twice a day. 2 hours and 40 minutes are spent on the road to do this damn job for you. When I get home to the Highlands at night, I do 2-finger pours of Yellowstone every night.
Why Yellowstone?
Well, it's a national parks give back, son. Support your parks. Drink more Yellowstone Select.
That's great. Can you touched on the Beam family history a little bit? Could you talk a little bit more about how the Beams basically, if you don't know anything about bourbon and you hear the word Beam, obviously you're thinking Jim Beam, but tell us the story. What really are we talking about here?
Well, born and raised in the state of Kentucky all of my life, and being around and in and out of the bourbon families from the Browns to the Samuels, I've had an opportunity as a Kentuckian to see some of the uniqueness that America's Natives whiskey has started with. And one of those things is the Beams. Of course, when I was growing up, there were 7 major distilleries. It was after Prohibition, so that's what was left over after Prohibition was 7 big houses. And 6 out of the 7 of those big houses employed a Beam as their distiller or master distiller over the years. Over 68 different brands of bourbon can relate themselves directly back to a Beam family distiller, and now growing. Because Stephen Beam is the 7th generation. He built this distillery from the ground up. And though he has been a Beam all his life, his mother was a Dant the whole time. The boys that own this distillery built it originally were not born. They were distilled.
Love it. Okay, I have a question. I know when I've been down there on the tour, you talk about the family history and all that, and then you talk about the jug of yeast. What's up with that jug? Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, it's a donut jug. A donut jug is a vessel in which the master distiller would take his mother yeast home with him at night. You see, yeast dies at 105 degrees, and in Kentucky it's 105 all summer long. So you don't want to lose your yeast, so you take it home with you at night. And you take it in the donut jug. It looks like a copper vessel with a spigot on the front of it, and they would take their yeast from that jug. When you get home at night, you'd have to care for it. You'd have to make sure it didn't get 105, and that's back before electricity or refrigeration, so you'd put it in your water cistern. Drop it down into the base of the water cistern about 10 feet deep, pull it in and out daily, never let the kids around it. It's pretty important that you keep your mother yeast safe and protected, because that's the flavor profile of your whiskey or bourbon. And Stephen Beam was wandering through the Oscar Getz Museum of Whiskey History, and I think he pretty much already knew that his great-granddaddy's donut jug was there, so he borrowed it. He took it to Dr. Patrick Heist at Wilderness Trail Distillery to have the DNA scraped off the inside of it. He matched it to a current yeast strain in his cryogenic laboratory. 100% genetic match, which means it was a minor case Beam's yeast from 100 years ago. Jurassic Park style, bringing back an old Trump whiskey of the future. Steve Beam's great-grandfather had the old Trump distillery in Gethsemane, Kentucky. He was in direct competition with his first cousin, Colonel James Beauregard Beam himself. Jim Beam was making old tub whiskey, while Steve's great-grandfather was making old Trump whiskey.
Very cool story. I love the family history and the tie-ins and all that. And that's one of the real charming things about that going to Limestone Branch and taking the tour and just anytime you're drinking some Yellowstone, to think back, after you've already taken the tour at the distillery, to think back on all that family history as I'm sipping Yellowstone. I mean, it's just such a cool story and how it's all interrelated and just a lot of fun to think back on that. And it reminds me of the tour that I took and the great time that I had. So one last kind of thing that I wanted to talk about was the Yellowstone, the Select, not the Select, the Limited. The 2021 is what we're on now. Can you talk about like what exactly that is and how it's made and a little bit more about that?
Yes, Mr. Beam, he tries to challenge himself. He's a very entrepreneurial character, and building his own distillery at the age that we're at, and then taking and doing all sorts of cool and outside the box thinking for all these different brands that he's created. He brought in Amarone cask this year, and I was curious as to what Amarone was all about, and he said it's an Italian wine, Stephen. It's extra aged on the vine until it's become a raisin almost before they harvest it. And then they take and they extra age it in the 80-gallon hogshead wine barrels, similar to what bourbon's done like. He said, I took those barrels while they was wet, and I introduced a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old mingle into those barrels of our Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And in doing so, he created 30,000 cases of this particular one-off. It'll never be created again. And the Amarone cask give the actual bourbon an old dusty flavor of yesteryear that you just cannot find in a new make bourbon anymore. This year's 2021 limited edition is the Sniggle Shits.
The Sniggle Shits, which is similar to the Shits and Giggles, which can be found at Stubborn German. Oh, I love it. Okay, well, Stephen, I'm sure now you can tell us all about the 2022 limited edition. Go.
Sure. The 2022 limited edition will be told to me in about 9 months just before release, and I might even get a chance to taste it before it goes to market to find out what the general public would like, because that's where my palate lies, with the general public.
That's the answer that I thought I would get out of that. So, but it can't fault me for trying. All right. Well, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for coming to Waterloo. I really appreciate it. And we had a blast here. The event that we did today was basically kind of a release for our barrel pick that just came in. And if you're listening to this now, I'm sorry, but it is sold out. All gone from today's event, and it's really good stuff. We still have it by the pour, so you can come in and at least try it. But I just told Stephen to get us on the list for next year, so we'll do this again, and we'll do this as many times as they'll let us come down and pick. So thank you, Stephen.
Chris, have you looked at your car lately?
I have not.
Because I sold it too.
Stephen joked earlier that he was since we're out of whiskey, he was going to sell Louie his dog that he brought. All right, thanks again, Stephen. We really appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate you very much.
Now that guy is somebody I could listen to all day.
For sure, yeah. I mean, and I can, and I have.
And you will again.
We all have, yeah. So that's actually, we've done 2 barrel picks of theirs. The first was, a year or two ago, I think. That was the first one. The second one, we got smart and figured out that after the barrel pick, you just hang out there. You don't schedule any other tours.
Oh, yeah.
You hang out there. You spend your time there.
You get treated like a rock star.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's the best part.
It's incredible.
So cool. Yeah.
Well, that's what he was saying, is how important it is to distinguish themselves as being, what did he call it, the most hospitable
distillery in Kentucky. Yeah.
In Kentucky, and that's a tall claim. But you're saying it's true.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we just sat there with him for it seemed was at least 3 or 4 hours.
I mean, there was whiskey involved, so we're not sure how long it was.
Yeah, had a cigar, just sat next to him,
just like he was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, very nice.
It's loose and low key, and then if you ask him a question, he'll just spit out the exact same answer as like during the tour. It's so funny.
It's true.
So you guys have all heard that speech before in Chris's interview.
A few times.
Yeah. Well, hey, how did you manage to get him to come up to the Stubborn German Brewing Company and tell me what that event was all about?
I just asked him, and he said, yeah, let's...
Well, you brought him beer, too, didn't you, when we were there?
I try to bring him beer anytime,
And he seemed excited about it. I mean, he was faking it really. No, I'm kidding.
It's okay, though. It's fine. I think he gave it to Derek, the bartender there, who's a really nice guy, so he can have it. It's fine. But, the event, basically, he came up. It was a Sunday. He was here, I think, from like 1 to 4, I want to say. And we had maybe 50-ish bottles left for sale, and that's all we had. We did a pre-order first for the Brown Water Society, so we sold a lot of it there. We're only talking 174 bottles, I want to say, is what we got out of that barrel, which is slightly low. But I've kind of figured this out. This is like our 17th or 18th barrel pick we've done. But anytime that we have a low bottle number, it's usually a really delicious barrel. And it's because, this is just my opinion. I haven't heard this from anybody.
This
but
is scientific proof right here.
My opinion is scientific proof. Thank you. I think what happens is the whiskey in the barrel, either from a leak or from just maybe the pores in that wood are a little more loose and open, and they kind of the barrel can breathe more, if that makes sense. But either way, it's a low fill, and those flavors now are more concentrated than they otherwise would be if it were more full, if that makes any sense. So you've got
I'd buy that.
more concentration of flavor. That's my opinion. So
This is what you think about like while you're going to sleep at night.
Yeah.
like every night.
I
Yeah,
figured.
it depends on how much of the barrel he's had that day.
Oh, wow, this is delicious. I wonder if it was a low yield. And then I look in my tracker. Yes, it was.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Very
I'm on to
nice.
something.
I thought it was, a very famous indigenous person's name, Breathing Barrel.
Breathing barrel.
So I came here towards the end of that event, and there was people stacked up.
Yeah.
And
a great turnout.
It was cool because, you could set up a lemonade stand and sell your wares, but to get a chance to talk to the guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And he was engaging everybody.
That's his thing. And so, okay, here's the deal. He is the brand ambassador, right? So he's not the guy over there moving hoses around, making the whiskey. He's not doing the cuts, the heads cut and the tails and all that. He's not messing with that. He had nothing to do with the design, like here's the blend of what we're going to do. What he does is lets everyone know about the story and the family history of Steve and Paul Beam, who are the two owners of the distillery, and he does it so well in such a way that, I mean, you heard the interview, so it's, that's how he is, that's his personality, and he's so engaging, and he just genuinely wants you to know the story of it. And to me, that makes it like, I mean, I had him sign my bottle, and
That's cool.
I don't have people sign bottles because I'm going to sell them for more money than I paid for them. I do it because, like, I had an awesome experience with that, so I want you to sign my bottle. Like,
For
you know what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
That's what that's for. And I encourage everybody here that talk to him to have their bottles get signed too. Like, why not?
Yeah, and it wasn't like, this is Dave from the distribution company, and he's just
Right.
unloading crates and setting them down, and,
Yeah.
I want to buy one. No,
No.
This was definitely an experience. And then to learn, so much about the Beam family and that statistic that, after Prohibition, and there was, 7 major distilleries that survived, and 6 were Beam family members, or,
Right.
or
Yeah.
6 and
Just
5.
the insane number of people with the last name of Beam, or could be different last names, but by marriage or whatever. But to be able to say that these are all Beams that
Right.
were master distillers in these huge distilleries. It's just amazing. I mean, I would like to go to a Beam family reunion and just
and you
be
might
a fly on a wall.
drink something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why, this sounds like an awesome television series.
Yeah.
the Beam family
Oh,
reunion,
could
right?
you- well, not just a reunion, but just, beam me up. It's just can you imagine
There we
the soap opera battles? But I don't know. They probably, if they got along or not. I don't know.
Hopefully not for the shows.
Yeah, right.
Well, interestingly, I've been watching that series Yellowstone, and there's the name Yellowstone tie-in, and so my mind's in a cinematic mode, I guess.
Gotcha.
But that was quite a treat. It was very cool that he came up and did that.
Yeah.
So you went for that particular tour. Chris said 4 times a year. Do you guys go with all of those trips, or he's a little over the top on this stuff?
Well, he's definitely, he's supporting the society. He's got to go on all of them. He has to.
Right.
But,
He's
we
got to
have
go sign bottles.
Yeah, that's right. Now, what we try to do, I think that was our first one together as a couple. I had been on one before that myself.
And
She's
I had
been there
also.
separately
Which one was
too.
that?
but I went on the one, it was Old Forester.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Wild Turkey.
That was
Castle
the 90
Key.
proof.
Yeah.
That was our second ever barrel pick.
Yeah.
Was that the one that we tried to do the scooters? I tried to do the scooters.
Oh, yeah.
You did the scooter, but yeah.
All right, we need an explanation.
I heard about
yeah.
this one.
Go ahead, Corey.
I think it was funnier when you were there, but how excited they get about the story, it makes
Yeah,
it.
it's a great story. Yeah.
Can you tell it?
Should I tell the story?
I don't care.
So this
Yeah,
was
sure.
we went out on the town. We were in Louisville, and I think on the way to the bar, Chris had said, if we're leaving and there's some scooters, we're gonna rent some of these scooters, like Lime scooters.
Yeah.
We're gonna get these and we're gonna go back to the hotel on the scooters. And I said, okay, great. So we left the bar, and we were there for an hour or so, right? And we
just 1 hour.
Had
for
some
sure.
libations throughout the evening, and
Cut that off.
So
Cut that off,
we
Jerry.
leave, and we see some scooters, and Chris is like, okay, let's go. So we get on our scooters, and one of the best parts of the story is that. So I check out one scooter, and you can do this on your phone, right? So you check one out, and there's another one right next to it. So I get the next one. But when you check out the second one, it cancels the first one. So Chris is trying to go down the street on a scooter that's been on a canceled scooter.
I've never ridden one of
So
these.
he's
I
like,
don't know how.
he's like pushing as hard as he can.
Does
and
it
it's
make a
like,
noise? when
Yeah, it's like beeping.
It's like
and,
it's in gear. It's not neutral. If it was neutral, you could just
It's
kick
trying
it.
not to be stolen, and it's probably alerting everybody that somebody's stealing it.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Nice.
And he's like, this is not working. So I turn around and say, well, yeah, this isn't going to work because it's not on. And he's like, oh, okay.
There's an app for that.
Got it. Yeah,
Right.
I did not have the app. Obviously.
That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So then you just motored on away and
Yeah,
left
so
them
we
there.
took turns. We took turns.
oh,
I'd go for
I
a
got
little
on Corey's
bit.
scooter.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Did you
is
get on
awesome.
there together?
I don't think we did at the same. No, not at the same time. That would have been weird. That would have been
We had
weird.
enough trouble navigating the sidewalks of downtown Louisville in that shape.
That's what actually happened.
Yeah.
It's between them.
Yeah.
So Chris, at one point, he had this moment of wisdom where he said, "Well, I should get off before I kill myself."
Yes.
So
Here come the Scooter Brothers.
I was scootering, and Chris was behind me, and I looked back, and he somehow tripped.
I don't know. I can't imagine.
And decided he was going to try to save it, and kind of like ran up the side of the wall.
Ooh.
And I see this, looking over my shoulder, and he just plaps right down on the ground. It was
I was
hilarious.
gonna pull off
Yeah.
some Matrix move.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Kind of
He's
go
gonna-
up the building.
He's going to save with a backflip gainer, and
In my mind, it worked perfectly.
yeah.
He
flawlessly.
defied gravity, but just not enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Well, okay,
Right.
so in my defense, this building, I've never seen anything like this before. This giant skyscraper, the bottom, say, 3 feet of it, were at a 45-degree angle, like granite,
Yeah,
45-degree angle.
It's to
Yeah.
keep the
So-
scooter people off.
Well,
it.
yeah.
I think so. But so here I am, like with this opportunity to save this fall by just using this 45 as like a
Yeah.
Roll it off.
an
Perfect.
off ramp,
Yeah.
And no, it didn't really
Yeah,
work.
no,
I didn't have
no.
enough practice.
No. I think if we could do it again, you would get it.
I think so.
You had to feel that the next day.
Yeah.
I still feel
Well,
walked
it's,
with a limp ever since.
it sounds like quite a night, and you guys, made it through, which is good.
Yeah.
So
great.
was it just the two of you there for that?
No, we had a group. I don't know where everybody else was.
We
at
had a
that
group,
point.
but I think we lost them with all the scooter adventures.
Yeah, they weren't into the scooters.
Honestly, I think they walked faster than we scooted.
Probably.
And
You're
that's
exactly
not
right.
a lie. Yeah,
You're
no,
exactly
they
right.
definitely beat us back.
That's fantastic.
that was John and Luis and Mike and Judy Feig and
Yep.
yeah. That was fun times.
Yep.
Missing a few there.
Was
but
Tammy along for that one?
she was not. No.
That's how the
I-
scooter thing
Yeah, I
happened.
probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten on a scooter if Tammy was behind me.
No.
Yeah.
Tammy does not like scooters.
Well, she's just looking out for the guy, but
So I left my scooter up against this bank building. Like, it wasn't really in like a designated scooter spot, which I don't think there really are. But
There
anyway,
isn't.
I just like leaned it up against the bank, and then the next morning we drive that way, and my scooter's still sitting there like kind of all crooked up against the bank. I'm like, that's my scooter.
well, yeah, I mean, it was scarred for life.
It was or I was.
Somebody probably tried to get on it, and the scooter said, no, I'm prying this one off. Find a different one. I've been canceled.
Yeah.
I'm out of order.
Yeah.
I probably burned up its transmission riding it in first gear.
So, as you mentioned before, the fun really starts after the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're learning that. Yeah, so have a few samples, go enjoy life.
Get the business out of the way. Pick your barrel. You want to do that right because, I mean, that'll haunt you too. If you pick a barrel that you're not really into and you get a whole 200-something bottles of it, that's no bueno.
Well, so let me ask you this. You mentioned the contents of the barrel is the same. It's consistent anyway.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have any inkling of a good barrel or a stinky one? I mean, how do you...
I mean, honestly, you're just going off of your own taste. I personally like big, bold flavors. Some people like whiskey that's kind of, light and mellow and easygoing. I like big, bold flavors. I like to know that when I'm drinking whiskey, I want to feel a little burn. I want to get some big flavors out of it. I want to know I'm drinking whiskey. You know what I mean?
Did you get your scooter muscles up?
Yes, exactly.
Especially those limestone ones, though. They're the Yellowstone, especially. It's, they're very bold, very.
They are. They just all are. Yeah. And that's right up my alley. So I mean, I would have been happy with any of those 3 barrels, but the barrel we did pick had a really fruity flavor, and I've never and so I've bought a lot of these barrel picks from Yellowstone that I've just seen out and about. I would say I might have 5 or 6 different ones at this point, and then we have our own twice now. So the second one, this latest one that we've done, had that fruity flavor that I've never found in a Yellowstone barrel pick before. Yeah. And I just thought it was so unique that, and it's just delicious. We couldn't let that one go. So we called it the Fruitcake Barrel. We put a sticker on it on every bottle and called it the Fruitcake Barrel because it was had all that fruitiness and kind of dark fruits, almost raisins, prunes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But also like bright citrus and banana and
wow.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And then it had the cake portion of it, like the spice and the graininess that you get out of cake. So. Pretty cool, pretty unique barrel. I don't want to talk too much about it because we don't have it available anymore.
It's not that good. No.
In your interview with Mr. Fante, you tried to get him to spill the beans on the next year's
the limited,
limited a little bit to whet the appetite. But when you come here, unfortunately, that one that you were speaking of isn't available. But there'll be more.
Yeah, and so we do have all this stuff at the bar to try, in a pour, 1.5 ounce pour, just not available in the bottle shop to buy. So
you can get it.
Yeah, you can get a pour of it. Yeah,
for sure.
And for me too, I have 2 Yellowstones at home. Those are the ones I only drink on special occasion. Those are my ones I'm trying to make last as long as I possibly can because they're that good. Those are the sippers.
That's really cool.
Out of all of our, like I said, 18-ish barrel picks that we've done, that's the one. I save 6 bottles for behind the bar of everything we do. I just grab a case of 6, I put it downstairs, and it's there, and we go through it over time. That's the one that's sold the quickest. We've only got 1 bottle left down there. So we have what's on the shelf. This is the first Yellowstone.
Right.
We have 1 bottle on the shelf right now, and then we have a full bottle back up down there, and then that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I hate that because it's so delicious, but it's just going to be gone. I should have saved more, I guess. I don't know.
You know what that tells me is the experience of doing the tour and being down there sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I would venture to guess that experience would make up for a lesser product if you had a good time.
Yeah.
But
it would.
The people that just come here and buy a pour off the bar, they didn't do the tour, and it's still good.
Yeah, they don't have any connection to it really whatsoever. So
they don't know all the stories.
Why
they didn't
is
get the scooter
it
ride.
selling so well?
I'm not going to lie,
Besides the
though.
TV show.
Right. During the pick, the actual pick, I was scared to death.
Really? Of what?
Oh, yeah, because I was like, what if we pick a lemon? And what if it doesn't sell?
They have
Chris
lemon
and
bourbon.
Tammy are going to be so
notes
mad.
of lemon.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. No, it really was. It was like a lot of pressure. It felt like I was doing something very important.
Wow. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it was very important, but I would think that this is an escape from the pressures of life. It's something you're just supposed to go enjoy. And
Yeah,
it sounds like you won.
At the end of the day, it's a fun experience, and you know that's why you're there. And there's no pressure. It's okay.
You had no idea I was sweating the whole time. I looked at Corey and I was like, my hands are sweating.
Yeah, taking it serious, man.
Good.
It's a lot of money.
I'm glad somebody was.
Corey, does she take everything this serious?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be the serious one in that.
Yep.
Yeah. No messing around. It sounds like there's a commonality between your wife, my wife, and Chris's wife.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't mess around.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, so when you interviewed him, you alluded to maybe him coming back. I mean, what do you think? And how would somebody find out?
I mean, the easiest way to find out about any of this stuff is on our Facebook page. I mean, we will definitely do another barrel pick there, and I will definitely invite him back. And if he has a free weekend, I'm sure he'll be up for the drive. I heard him talking afterward with the guy that he's the guy he was with, Dustin. He's in St. Louis. He works for for Lux, and so he's kind of a brand guy as well. He does a similar thing to what Steven does, but Steven kind of travels from the distillery, and Dustin is more St. Louis based. But anyway, Dustin was there to help him, and he did a great job and was awesome too. But I heard them talking, later. He's like, man, I don't know. Or Steven said to Dustin, I don't know if I could have done that without you. This is a big crowd. So I don't know if Steven was really expecting this many people. But
well, I'll tell you what. One of the first things that he said was he wanted to sit down.
Yeah, we were going to do the interview standing up. He's like, can we just go sit?
No, but that was cool. He obviously gave his all.
He did, absolutely.
And nobody left here, unfulfilled.
Yeah, very cool.
While we are sitting here, I have to. So, Corey, how about a good embarrassing Chris growing up story?
Oh, man.
Go easy on me.
I
don't think he really has any, honestly.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
there's an influence there, but there's got to be something.
Honestly, I can't.
Chris did everything perfectly normal the whole time?
Honestly, I can't really
perfectly
think of...
normal, yep.
Yeah.
It has to be something involving the drums or...
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well,
you can go on the tour again.
I do have a good one. Actually, thank you for the drums.
All right.
That's why I'm
There we
here for
go.
I remember he this was when I think you were in high school, probably.
Okay.
And, I'm 9 years younger, so I was considerably younger, right? So...
about 9 years at that point.
Yeah, about.
Almost.
Yeah, roughly. But, so I think Chris, and he may not even know anybody was home at the time, but, so... You just hear him, his bedroom. This is when we lived on out in Redbud, right? So you just hear, "Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that," and he starts drumming, but he's doing the whole song and singing and drumming and it was perfect.
I had my drums there though, right? It wasn't like on pots and pans and crap.
Drumming.
There were drums. Yeah. I mean, it didn't sound bad.
Got to keep your skills up, Corey.
That's right. Yeah, practice makes perfect. You have to.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
I'll tell you what.
Singing is extra.
He does that here still.
Yeah.
And it's just an indicator that we're dealing with a guy who goes all in.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He
Well,
doesn't hold back.
On the Bourbon Trail, I learned that you can have snacks and you can't go to the bathroom either because Chris is on a mission.
Oh,
so I had to hold it all the way to Kentucky.
Yeah. And
I was not expecting that.
No
lunch. Yeah.
You get
like
5 minutes for lunch, and that's it.
It's like astronaut training on the Bourbon Trail. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that's why we can only do one a year because we're just not trained up enough to do more.
You're going to have to start holding it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's fantastic. I got a good story. I could see that.
Thanks for that story, Corey.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
If I could have played bass guitar at the same time, I would have.
You could probably try.
Or one-man band right there.
Yeah. I would have helped. You just didn't ask, so.
I didn't know you were there, obviously.
Well, so the good thing is there's probably many more of those to come in the future because we're definitely going to have you guys back. We appreciate you joining us. This was a lot of fun. But I know that everybody listening is saying, what the heck is a Gelbstein? I remembered it.
Good. Well,
because I'm wrong.
Let's review our answers really quickly.
Well, Johnny, tell them what they've lost.
Where did it go? So, I believe Corey said goldfish.
Alyssa said
Alyssa said
goldfish.
goldfish.
I wrote them down,
credit.
and it totally just let me out of my email that I started. Kevin said a
Fishtown.
fish town. That's right.
Fishstein.
I said beer glass.
A beer glass. That's right. The correct answer is Gelbstein is Yellowstone.
Gelbstein.
You had the Gelb.
Gelb, yeah,
Yellow gold.
kind of.
Yellowstone.
Gold was Gelt more.
I was giving this to you guys. I was really trying to just hand you one.
Back
really
on the
thought this
theme
through.
thing that you got away from for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a listener, I'm like, well, usually the word has nothing to do with what you're actually talking about.
Right.
So this one actually did.
Never can tell with this guy.
No.
That'll
Keep
teach you
trying
for
to
telling stories about me singing Metallica.
And the scooter. Don't
And
forget the scooter.
Yeah, it was
I don't
kinda-
think we're going to have you on, actually, anymore. This is probably the last episode.
Well, this will give you time to think of a story about him.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you enjoyed this episode, I can't see why you didn't. Hit a bunch of stars and thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. Leave a nice review. Subscribe because there's more to come. And before we sign off, there's something we always like to do here at the end of the Stubborn German Brewing Company. So for Corey, Alyssa, Chris, and myself, Kevin, Prost.
Roast.
Andrew. Okay, well, I mean, I'm ready whenever you are. You rehearsing the word of the day? All right.
Oh, yeah, we got to do that.
I should have prepared.
Oh, I heard that, sort of.
Try one more time.
You know what you can do? You can play it through this.
But I don't know where the speaker is.
I'm guessing it's probably right at the top somewhere.
It might be under it.
I doubt it. I would think it's louder than the phone. But that's just me.
Never mind. I know how to say it now.
All
so
right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Off my back.
Okay, here we go.